All right, we are cranking right along with these two card reviews. Again, if you haven't been here for this in the past, I'll add this video to the playlist. I don't know where YouTube puts playlists anymore. I'll be honest, like they're changing so much stuff. I don't even know what it is half the time. But this video will be a part of that playlist if you want to watch all the old ones leading up to now. We're still in Scarlet Witch. There were some cards we had to skip over. So if you're wondering, like, hey, why did D20 make this big jump? Like he missed a bunch of cards in her pack. It's mostly because we covered them we've covered them before in an older video, so they're just go check out the older videos. They're in there. There's no sense in doing some of the repeats again. So anyway, everyone's listening to this on the podcast. I can speak today. I appreciate the support. Thank you all so much. I see you. It really means a lot. So thank you for that. So all right, let us drop over to the other screen and talk about our two cards today. The first card we have to talk about is a bonkers good card and it is highly recommended, and it's worth getting Scarlet Witch for just maybe not that far. I don't know if I would go that far, but it's a really good card. It's a really, really good card. So the first one we got to talk about is a basic card. It's a 0-cost event, Spiritual Meditation. It's a spell. Play only if your identity has the mystic traits. There's only like 4 or 5 heroes that can play this card. Action, draw 2 cards, choose and discard 1 card from your hand. Now, people might go, well, wait a minute. If I draw 2 and I play this and have to discard a card, that's just a 2-for-2 swap, right? Like, why is that good? And the reason being is because a lot of times you need certain cards at certain times, and cycling through your cards is generally a strong strategy. Sure, you get near the end of your deck faster, but it's usually worth the trade-off because a lot of times, especially early on, when you're trying to build out, you need to get certain cards at certain times, right? You need to get certain upgrades and supports out there to get that deck really like humming and doing well. And even later on, it's nice that, okay, I have a big attack and I have the cards to play it, but it'd be really nice if we had another big attack, right? So like the cards like this where I want to get like a lot of hex bolts, let's say with Scarlet Witch, when I play Scarlet Witch, I need hex bolt after hex bolt after hex bolt. So let's use Spiritual Meditation to get that going, right? To get those cards faster, or to get the resources like double resource to help pay it off faster. That is also really strong and helpful too. So anyway, really strong card. I get why it's only limited to Mystics, but man, it's just Mystics are so strong. They're so strong. And this feels like a card that just made them stronger, right? That I can just like get through this deck super fast to get what I need. I wish they had a version of this. Like they came out later with Champions Mobile Bunker, right? When you could draw 2 and then get rid of 2, which we'll talk about in the future. We're not going to get there yet. But I wish they had this for like everyday heroes, like another way to kind of go through. Like it feels weird that this card exists for just Mystics and not anybody else as well, right? Like I really wish that it existed for just the general hero. I know you would have to change it up because it'd be really boring if it was the same as that card, but still. And maybe the argument is it makes Mystics not feel as special, as unique, and okay, maybe that's the case. But still, I just wish it existed for the normal hero. Like why can Valkyrie not do this, right? I know she's super powerful and strong, but it'd still be fun. So anyway, Spiritual Meditation, it's a super strong card. I think it goes into every single one of my Mystic decks. I can't think of a Mystic deck it doesn't go into. So let me know your thoughts down below. While you're down there, make sure to like button, hit subscribe, turn on notifications, all that fun stuff. But let me know if you've ever not really included this in your Mystic deck. Like the vast majority of Mystic decks I see on Marvel CDB include this card. Now, not all of them, obviously, because people want to mess around, like whatever. But do you have, like generally speaking, when you play a Mystic deck, let's say 51% of the time, do you add this card and 49% you don't? Or is it usually way higher than that? Or maybe it's below that, right? Do you generally play like 20% of the time you put in this card? I'm really interested in hearing that because, again, I think it's a really strong card. I think it's a really good card. It scales well. Like you would do this for solo, you would do it for multiplayer. Like there's no reason not to, in my opinion. So it's just a really good card. So that's why I want to hear more people's thoughts on it. The next card we got to talk about is a 2-cost aggression event. All right, so these were the extra cards in the back of the pack. Browbeat, 2-cost event, aggression attack. Play only if your identity has the Avenger trait. Sure. Deal hero action. Deal 2 damage to an enemy. Oh, I'm sorry. Forget that. Hero action, deal 2 damage to the villain, and then deal X additional damage to the villain to a maximum of 3, where X is equal to the villain's stage number. So let's say you are playing stage 1 of the villain, right? On a standard difficulty. So 2 for 3 damage is trash. Throw it in the dumpster. You should not be using that. Not great. 2 for 2, or I'm sorry, 2 for 4 damage is fine. Like, like it's not bad, but I don't love it. So I could get some use out of it, and it might make sense for some builds, but not really a ton of them. 2 for 5 though is okay. That's pretty decent, right? If I'm playing expert, there's actually a shot I put this in a fair amount of decks for solo for expert. Now the bigger question is, well, do you play this card in like a multiplayer setting? So, right, so you're playing as Hulk or Valkyrie or some really goaded aggression hero. Do you add this card to that deck? I never really have, right? I'll be completely honest. I never really have, because there's other more powerful aggression cards, especially nowadays. I mean, we have cards that deal 4 for 8 damage and 3 for 7 damage. Like that, I would rather do that for the most part. Like I generally speaking, when you're taking on stage 3 of the villain, you want big swings, right? So like early on when I'm on stage 1, or if I'm on stage 2, if I'm playing an expert, I'm taking the smaller hits, right? So the 2 for 3, the 2 for 4, whatever it may be, makes a bit more sense. But those big swings have to happen at the end, right? You, especially an expert, do not want to be on stage 3 for very long. Your goal is to flip that villain and then finish that villain in the same turn. It's very hard to do. Obviously, you can't always do it. I get it. I don't do it the vast majority of the time, and that's probably why I lose. But if you don't finish them, then you really need to finish them next round, right? You like, it's imperative that you do. And Browbeat is not the card in which I would do that with. Generally speaking, again, I'd rather have those massive hit cards than this one. It's like a medium hit card. It's not terrible, but it's like more of a medium hit card. So yeah, it's just a card that I really haven't found myself using. And again, I want to know your thoughts and opinions on this. Maybe I'm missing something. Maybe there's something there that, you know, there's more there than I'm seeing. That makes a lot of sense. Maybe people do like this card as a 2 for 4 damage on expert, right, on the first stage. Well, stage 2, but the first one of the 2 you play. Maybe they like that 2 for 4. They're like, okay, no, this is a good mid-hit card. I wouldn't do it in like a 4-player game. I wouldn't even really do it in a 3-player game. 2-player, 1-player, okay. Like I could see this card being used more there, but it's not an aggression card I use a lot. Again, there's usually other aggression cards I would rather use that make more sense to me, and it feels like they want you to this card scaled up on a stage 3 villain. Where again, 2 for 5. I mean, that's still pretty good. That'd be like a 3 for 7.5 damage card. 3 for 8 is the standard, so it's a little bit lower than what we want, but it's an aspect card. Aspect cards are always like a touch lower, so that's not shocking. But again, I don't want to use this card to help make the final push. Like, it just doesn't seem as worth it versus that 3 for 7 card, or 3 for 8 card, or 4, even 4 for 8 card. It just doesn't seem like it to me. So again, that's one of the interesting things. Let me know if I'm missing something, but it's a card I just don't use as much, and it's things that it's trait locked to Avengers. Like, why? Just let it. I mean, if an X-Men wants to use it, let them use it, right? Like who cares? All right, so hopefully you have been enjoying this series now that I've been back at it. I'm hoping, if plan goes well, this has been up for the past 3 days. We'll take the weekend off. We'll come back on Monday and do next week's and try to do all of them all the way through next week. But everyone that supported this channel, especially those that have become members recently, thank you so much. Especially the 99 cents here, it helps out the channel in incredible amounts. You would not believe it. It helps out a ton. It really honestly does. It allows us to reinvest in this channel, allows us to do a lot for this channel. And I really appreciate everyone that's not only willing to give their time, but their money to the channel. So thank you. And if you can't become a member of the channel nowadays, I totally get it. For those of you that just sit there and watch the videos and like the videos and share the videos, especially, like, thank you so much. Like, again, that stuff really helps out the channel. It really helps us grow. So anyway, really appreciate you all. Hopefully you've enjoyed the return to this series, and I will see you all next week.